So anything else to share, James?
No, that's it.
Yeah.
No, that's it, Jono. Just that I'm very, very grateful.
Yeah, well, well done. I think you've really thrown your heart into this, and you've got a lot of benefit as a result. And hopefully, it's a foundation on which you can build. And
Certainly
go from strength
Certainly
to
is.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else like to share anything? Sue, John, anything arising for you over the last couple of days? Any thoughts, reflections on the course?
Well, I'd like to echo what James said. I've really enjoyed this AOLG course, and it's yeah, I feel like I can see things differently now. I don't get caught up in them. I feel calmer, more loving, all of that. I woke up last night suddenly feeling really anxious, which I do sometimes. I just have this anxious feeling about nothing in particular. I'm just feeling anxious, and I sat up and did some breathing and breathed in love, and that really helped.
Great.
Yeah.
So hopefully you've got some techniques now that that really work.
Yes.
You can use, and those are lifelong. You can use these anytime. Ideas to really empower you. It's I'm just a facilitator. I'm just guiding you to learn some ideas, some techniques that you can use yourself on an ongoing basis to really help you with this work, and help you to be your own. It's ultimately it's about listening to your own teacher, your own inner teacher, which is the Holy Spirit. It's just about connecting with that. How do you connect with the Holy Spirit consistently is really the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's not always that easy to do. So
no, and you have given us some tools to help us do that.
Yeah. So, and then it's up to you to use them. Hopefully you will. Hopefully you will use them, and it's all going to be this is the start of something, just a new phase in your life where you start to just grow. Really, I mean, you both of you have been doing A Course in Miracles for quite a while. It's like, okay, well, are you really going to live this teaching? Because that's what Jesus is challenging us to do. It's like, are you going to live this, in moment by moment in your daily life, and live by these principles and get the benefits? He's saying the benefits are extraordinary. So, well done to both of you. You both dived in, and you've participated. The first week you weren't around. I was like, okay, what's going to happen? It took a week to get into it, but for the last 5 weeks, you've been consistently there, and I can see the shift, and I think it's amazing. I mean, you both in your latter part of your life that you both just dived into this and really embraced it with the enthusiasm of someone who's people who much younger. It's amazing. It's really. Because a lot of old people just get really stuck in their ways, and they're like, there's no flexibility in their thinking, and both of you have been open to learning from. I'm I could be your son, so it's amazing. Yeah, really, I take my hat off to both of you for committing to it and doing it, and I think you've both got the benefits, and hopefully this is just the start of. The best years of your life, the next 10 or 20 years.
So.
Yeah. So, if you're retired, you've got time. What an amazing gift. You've got time to really immerse yourself in this kind of thing. And also do the kind of, volunteer work that you were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's all feeling really positive and right, and I've spent years wondering what my higher purpose is. But I think I'm really excited about what's happening now.
Good. Yeah. Finally getting some answers, and it's actually a very simple answer. It's nothing grandiose, or it's just okay. Be the love, and how do you express that and extend that, and that creates the fulfillment in you, and you just feel expanded and loving and connected, and that's really what it's about. It's so simple actually, but it does take quite a lot of reprogramming to get there, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Reprogramming. Yeah.
Undoing and
be able to tune in.
Undoing and reprogramming, and that's really what you've started in quite a serious way, maybe, you know, in a way that you haven't done before over the last 6 weeks. So it's a foundation on which you can build. Hopefully you'll decide to carry on with the program. I'll talk about that at the end of this session. Like, okay, if you want to continue, you know, there's an entire year's work to really work through a course is a year's work. So I've created a program where, you know, you can do that in a similar way, not quite as intense, but there'll still be 2 live sessions a day. And I think, you know, what's really for me has shown in this course is that the value of the live sessions. I think that's where a lot of the teaching, the learning, that's where it happens. You know, recordings are one thing. I mean, how many people listen to recordings? A little bit, maybe. The recorded like discussions. Meditations and the breath breaks are another thing, because that you can do yourself. That's just you interacting and going into your space. So recordings can work quite well then. But you know, in terms of teaching, learning, I think there's something about a live session, interactive, talking to people, questions and answers. It's engaging in a way that a recording just isn't, because it's flat. It's just it's a one-way transmission. So
I've also got accountability.
Yeah, and there's a sense of, okay, the session's happening now. You know, if I don't join, I'm going to miss it. Okay, let me join. Whereas a recording is not going to do that. So, well, I can listen to the recording anytime. So,
yeah.
Well, you know, I'll have some lunch first, and then you forget. So
never happens.
Yeah. So, and I really enjoy them. I think there's an energy transmission. So, you know, I want to keep doing them. It's maybe not quite as long, but there's a meditation and a discussion. So afternoon will be short discussion on the lesson and a meditation. So that'll be like half an hour, 45 minutes. And then evening, reading the text and doing a meditation based on the text, which might be an hour and a half. We'll keep the check-ins a little bit shorter. Maybe we'll just say, like, okay, 1 or 2 people share. Maybe not everyone has to share every day. You know, so anyone got anything to check in on, or do 1 or 2, and then move on. So that's the idea. Yeah.
From lesson 35, carry on to the end of the year, and then go back to lesson 1 in January. Is that the idea?
Yeah. Well, we're sort of already midway through the year, so I'm thinking, like, rather than if we do another year, we'll start again in June, which is doable, but it's quite nice to start the program towards the beginning of the year. Maybe not on the 1st of January, but you know, we'll give people a couple of weeks. Yeah, we started on the 23rd or 24th, so that gives people a bit of time to kind of come out of holiday mode. 2 or 3 weeks is a good time for people to then make these kinds of decisions. Yes, I want to do this program. Whereas December, everyone's like, I'm not even thinking about next year. I'm just on holiday. I'm in holiday mode. So the idea is to restart this in a week for those who want to continue. I'll give you a week's break just to kind of go, all right, let's just consolidate on what you've learned, finish any exercises, decide where you want to go with this. Oh, there's Victoria. And then come back in. Oh, you don't have a touch screen. Touching the screen.
No, no.
Why is it not working? Hi, Victoria.
It's so used to the touch screen, and
Yeah.
then you get back to like the keypad.
Yeah.
That's not what it's
So So start again in a week's time, and then go until sort of third or fourth week of January. So we might not complete the whole program, but I think it would be valuable to actually start this thing in a year, in at the beginning of a year, and then just cycle through. So if you're okay with that, we'll get to lesson, I don't know, 250 or something, and then just restart again. I've been trying to figure out how this is going to work, and I think this course has really helped me because I can't actually run this more than once a year, honestly. Like if I'm running a program with this intensity, like in September, say, and there's another program going where you guys are on less than 100, then it's just too much. I can't, like, you can't run both. I mean, it's all consuming. I've tried and battled with it. So there's going to be one program. That's it. You join whenever you join. If you want to join monthly, you jump in wherever we are. Otherwise, wait until January, start at the beginning. You do this whole course again, because this course will be the start of the program. And so if people want to wait, then fine, wait a few minutes. Wait until January comes around. Or if you just want to join in and jump in wherever you are, jump in now and just start joining the live sessions. So I've got a little bit of clarity on that. Before I was like, well, I want to run 3 a year. It's just too much. I can't actually. If I automated it, which I plan to do, that's why I've got all the recordings. Then yes, it's possible. But then the live sessions are not coordinated. You see, I can't really run 4 live sessions a day. Because there's only so much time that I've got, and also at that, there's those times are the right times. Like lunchtime is quite a good time, and then evening is the right time. So that's how it's going to work.
Can new people join when you restart in a week's time, John, or is it just for those who have been involved so far?
No, I'm going to open it up. If people want to join, they can just join on a monthly basis. But then they don't get the 6-week lead in, so obviously that's the ideal way to do it. But let's say they're already course students or something, they'd like to be part of it. Okay, well, it's fine. Jump in. We're at lesson 36. Just jump in, and when we come to January, then you'll do it. So yeah, I mean, they can. I'm opening it up. There's a monthly subscription fee. It's 500 Rand in South African terms, and it's £26 in UK terms, because those are about equivalent at this stage. And if you're a couple, then it's you get a discount on that. So for the two of you, it'll be £47 a month, which you're getting 2 live sessions a day. I think that's pretty reasonable. You're paying less than £1 a day. I want to make it as accessible as possible, at the same time as saying, look, okay, there's got to be some, there are costs to run this. There's got to be some remuneration. And ideally, if I can grow it, if it's part of, I guess, the community, if you guys enjoyed it and you think there's value, you refer other people, it'll grow. And I'll gladly give you a referral fee, so that reduces your own costs. So the idea is to grow it. And if there were 10 or 20 or 50 people joining, then it's a very viable thing for me. I can dedicate my life to this. I'd love to just grow this, build this community, and say, actually, that's what I'm doing, and I'm just doing it through this channel of the Art of Letting Go. I want to rebrand it as the Art of Flow. We haven't quite got there yet, but it's going to be the same thing, just the Art of Flow. I think it's a bit more accessible for people.
I can honestly see you doing this full time. You are so brilliant at it. You are just an amazing facilitator. Your knowledge is so deep, and you give people the space to voice what they wouldn't have been able to voice, and just let go and
Express,
just facilitate the letting go. As you know, I've been like really 100% on this journey from literally the day that I randomly found your contact details. And it's such a powerful thing that I can really see you doing this full time. And I'm not dictating or anything, but you are so brilliant at it. I've very seldom met an individual that does this kind of work without his ego or her ego. Most of the time it's about the ego. For me, the reason why I'm still with you and I do what I do is because you do it completely from a point of love.
Thank you.
And thank you.
My pleasure. And that's why I do it, because what else, what else is there to do?
Exactly.
Give love, give and extend love.
Exactly.
And if you can do it in this way, then okay. So Kim, anything you want to share?
Yeah, I just can't believe that it's been what, 6 weeks?
Yeah, it's
It has
gone quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I just really feel a lot of benefits, and Jonna, I've been on a few of your retreats, which are great benefit as well. But I think what was really beneficial in this time is just doing it over kind of a consistent basis, and then building up that practice, and also like these interactive sessions that we have. Yeah, I think like Karen is sharing, it's just, you give us a space to, have the expression and just give that kind of, I don't know, the sort of words of sharing and encouragement, and just, it feels right. And it's been great to just meet everyone in this forum and just being able to like learn from each other. It's very powerful, like you say. I think that's, although it felt in the first week or so just like, oh gosh, there's like this lot of material, and that I just felt, okay,
You got into flow with it.
just go with, and especially this, whatever happens, just attend at least one of the sessions in the day, which like really been helpful. And also the timing has also been right as well. Being able to do that and not be so stressed about it, and like you say, go with the flow. You don't have to get it perfect. It doesn't have to be like, every single thing to do. Yes.
No. To be honest, to get it perfect, you have to like do this all the
it's a long
time.
time. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I've got recordings in there,
Yes, yeah.
live sessions.
Yeah.
What I did was I did the recordings because I thought, okay, well, if I automate this, then I'm only doing one live session a week.
Yeah.
When I was running this, I was like, you know what? Intuitively, I feel like actually where the benefit is in the live sessions.
Definitely.
If I run 2 a day, then something happens. There's a magic. I've done 2 courses like this before, and something happens when you do the live sessions that you don't get if it's only once a week. It's the different energy.
And
it's more of an immersion experience.
Yeah, and you get into like this, like a rhythm with it, and you really, it's like you feel more connected with it, and everyone with you as well, which has been awesome. So nice to meet everyone and just share along those lines, and also like just listen to the questions, and also just not let go. Sometimes like I had days where it's like, it's just, you read some of the text, it's like, but but other people, just having some explanation, that's what I struggle a little bit with. But and also just having your on and off days as well, and it's going to happen, and it's all part of and accepting that it's going to happen, and being able to share about that. Whereas imagine, I think starting this off on your own is quite, if you're going to do a Course in Miracles and read the text, I think
almost everyone needs, they get into it and they go, okay, I need a bit of help with this, and so then you have the various channels. You can go to YouTube and you can listen, but that's not interactive, you see. So I think what people like is like these kind of small groups exist around the world where people get together, and typically they do it once a week or once every 2 weeks, and it's we have a couple of hours. I guess I've just gone, well, why not repeat that formula every day? If you want to immerse yourself in it, just
that's what's amazing.
Repeat it every day, because now you're just accelerating your learning so much compared with once a week or once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, you forget about it, and you have this bombardment of energy that happens every day, so you need to reconnect yourself.
And there's a lesson every day. It's designed it as a daily practice, saying this is what this is how you're really going to get this. So if I can facilitate that experience, have you finished sharing?
Yeah, and just again, like the little things as well. Like, yeah, I wasn't necessarily always listening to the breath breaks, but I know that they're there, and the recordings I can, like, if I need to, I can take one to listen. Because sometimes, again, like you say, I mean, I was driving and I've listened to one of the recordings from one of it, you know, like a lot previous courses session, and also just like, yeah, just exchanging about what we can do, and also it's not like, doesn't feel like it's just pure, although it's based, it is on the course, like there are other things as well, and just being like open, so like it's not so restrictive. That's, I think, I'm glad early on in the course you said, okay, just, you know, go with it, but you don't have to, like, you're not in this like rigid form of a course, yeah. So that was helpful. So then you just go, okay, so you want to keep up, but you do what you can.
Well, it's about flow. I mean, the whole point of
yeah,
it's like I'm saying, it's flow, but you're like really rigid and structured. That's not really, you know, living the teaching.
yeah.
It's a little bit contradictory.
Yeah.
And I must say, like, having done the AOLG the second time, is that although I recognize the lesson of the day, there's so much more context to it. So, like, I'll say, oh, I remember that one resonated with me. But it was a shift that took place that now, for the second time hearing it, it's a completely different shift in my mind and my body and everything. It's like, wow, the world is not, this is not the world I see.
It goes deeper, doesn't it?
It goes,
penetrates deeper.
it's almost like an
Do the
onion.
lessons
It's
another
almost
time.
like Shrek. Onions have layers. That's like a different layer that you're kind of peeling off, and a very profound spiritual teaching that I had many years ago. They talk about the old projectors and the overlays, and when you peel off the overlay, something comes a little bit more. So when they used to show a picture, let's take example of a ladybird. There's one on the roof. There was one on the roof earlier. There it is.
Okay.
And so you peel off that overlay, and something more reveals. And that's what I find with the course, is that it peels it off. But to be honest, if I were to be reading that course on my own, it would be a 10% impact.
Yeah.
But with Jono's advice and guidance and everything, it's like, okay, this meditates, it gets into your psyche and your core and your heart. And that's really how I feel about it. It's something so deeply connected to what we've lost.
Spirit.
Absolutely. And that's all into the ego and everything. And yesterday I got this video clip of like people from all walks of life cleaning up South Africa, sweeping. There's a guy in a wheelchair sweeping. There's a lady in a wheelchair raking.
Yeah.
There's like
And
people
the lady
that
playing the
come-
piano in the.
And in the
It's amazing.
heart
Did
of
everyone watch that video?
destruction.
I sent it to the group.
Word. It
Yeah.
was like, did you? Oh,
I sent it to the group.
did I send it to you, or did
No,
you send
no.
it before?
I think I sent it to the group. Yeah.
Oh, and
Someone else sent it to me.
like people really connecting, and it's maybe not even a conscious thing, but it's something that people are driven to do because we need it so much in the world today, particularly in South Africa. And I sat there watching it with tears in my eyes, and I thought to myself, how can I help?
Well,
What can I
that's
do?
exactly, that's really the, you know, it makes this community where it's like, yes, I'm going deeper into myself, but how do I be truly helpful? And if you can empower people to be truly helpful, and there's a community of people doing that, that's amazing. And that's what we're here to be. How can I be truly helpful in a situation which is, there's apparent darkness? I mean, that's, you know, we're here because we're here to shine the light.
Yeah.
There's apparent darkness, but we had to shine the light in however. But it starts within. You need to have done this inner work before you can really start doing that.
So, I mean, I got turned down. So I've been unemployed for 18 months, trying to get my own business going. And I had a really, really hopeful moment on the last few months. And on Thursday afternoon, I got a call from the CEO, and he said, Karen, we just don't have an opportunity. Times are tough. And I said to you that I employ you any day. And I feel really great, really embarrassed to say that we physically as a company don't have an opportunity for you. And in that disappointment and in that moment, I turned around and I said to him, you know what? If you need my help with your business because you're feeding people, I will help you. As long as what we do, what we need to do to actually get nourishment into people, to feed them, to get them up again, we can do it. And that was my reaction to being turned down and completely disappointed.
And that's been truly helpful. And do you think you would have been able to have that reaction
No,
a year ago?
absolutely not.
You would have reacted differently.
I would have reacted differently, definitely.
Mm.
So yeah.
Well, there's the change, you see. Like, you just changed your mind.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, in a testing situation that arises, and then you don't react in the egoic way. You react in, out of spirit, and you'll see that'll come back to you.
And that was
Strange and miraculous ways.
And that was the message that I sent through on the egg. Get up off your knees.
Yes, yeah.
And that was sent through one of the other ladies, but
Jean.
I found it
Jean
through
sent
Jean.
it, yeah.
But I found it, and I found the author, and I got a clear picture of that message.
Yeah.
Get up off your knees, get out of your
Yeah.
churches and your synagogues, and make a difference. Like, really make a difference. And I saw that morning and then that afternoon. And yes, I was really disappointed because this company really works with health and nutrition of people, but they don't have a position for me.
Yet. But who knows?
Yet.
Who knows?
Yeah.
If you're truly helpful and find the things start, being helpful for you.
It has to, I mean,
not necessarily in your time. It's not necessary. That's not the way it works for us. But you just got to be patient.
I think it's also
And carry on being
not
truly
having
helpful.
the expectation.
Mm.
So it's not like I'm doing this because of. I'm doing this because I
feels
really
right.
truly believe that it can help humanity. And I looked and I sat. It was the weirdest thing. I sat on the healing bed today downstairs, where I do a little bit of Reiki and healing work and stuff like that. And I looked into my book cabinet and I thought to myself, you have one novel and you have 100 books on healing.
Yeah, well, maybe it's an opportunity for you. We talked about higher purpose. Maybe this is exactly what it's for. Okay, well, you've got some downtime. Go with it. We're going to do an exercise shortly where, it's about higher purpose. So.
The angel card I picked today was downtime.
Downtime. Oh, to, think, reflect, reboot your life, maybe do what you're supposed to do. Like, really make a difference. What I see, with a community like this is, in the end, healing is a one-on-one exercise. It's like individuals. Like, that's how you're truly helpful. If I can help you and I can help you and I can help you, it's like I'm going to help the world. But it comes down to like one person at a time. It's just, how are you going to do that? Is that going to be in-person healing? Is it going to be in a little group? There's many ways. Find a way. And that's really nourishing. I mean, you can really feel like I've made a difference to someone else. This love has come through me and really helped. That fills you up. You can't help but go, that's my whole purpose. That's why I'm here, is to be the love and let it come through me. And as I experience it, that's my own, that's my own practice, and that's my own purpose, is to experience that love coming through me. So, you know, I guess the call for all of us is to, James says yes, you know, is to do that. You know, how can you be the love? And like your life is a prayer. Your life becomes that prayer to the divines. Okay, you use my, you know, my voice, my hands, my feet. Jesus says that in the Course. He says the atonement plan needs your voice, your eyes, your ears, your hands, your feet, your willingness. That's what it needs. So it's not a call to say, oh, we're just going to sit passively and meditate. And it's like, no, you're going to do the inner work, but then, okay, how do you go out and, you know, extend that into the world? And what's your way of doing that? I mean, Jesus was a prime example. Look at what he did in his life. He just went, okay, I'm just going to be the love. I'm going to extend it out freely. I'm going to give it to all and sundry without, you know, conditions. And he changed the world.
No
And
expectations.
we still, you know, we're still learning from it. You know, so the call is you be the Christ. You be that person who goes, okay, I'm just going to be the channel for this divine love. Use me. I'm totally, you know, in your hands. You show me. And it will. It's an extraordinary power. It starts coming through you and just moving you in strange and miraculous ways to make connections with people who you're supposed to connect with. You know, none of this is accidental. This is all by some kind of divine design that, you know, we're all here today together. And who knows where it'll go from here. It's going to be interesting and exciting. So
I knew I was meant to meet Kim.
yeah. Yeah, well, I just thought early hours this morning, I was about to go to bed, having done another all-nighter. I was like, okay, let me just send Kim a message and say, you know, come, because there's something about an in-person. It's quite a nice way to finish the course. You know, it's in person. A holotropic is always best done in person. And you know, thank you to everyone joining on Zoom as well, because it just extends it. I mean, you know, James is in Spain, Sue, John, Victoria in England. It's amazing that we can, you know, do this virtually.
I think also that, like, there was a time where I was like, oh no, John is going back.
Well, am I? I don't know. It's very much in the balance.
We kind of don't know, but it was like, oh no, he's going back, and he's not just like 20 kilometers down the road from us anymore, and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, it doesn't really matter, because the time and space is non-existent, and the love is eternal. So it's not actually really an issue. John is in the UK, because we'll carry on.
Just
this
use Zoom.
program.
Yeah, exactly. Just use Zoom.
And
the connection's still there.
The connection is still there.
That's the amazing thing with this technology, because it just shows you don't have to be physically present.
Exactly. So it's like a little bit of a nostalgia. So when I lived in the UK, my parents were here, and I didn't really have a connection with them, because it was before the days of, like, I think we used to use MSN Messenger or something, and it was more like my brother-in-law. And then I used to call my mom from my landline every Saturday afternoon, but I had to time it when she wasn't playing her tennis. She's 75 and still playing tennis. But it was that, like, technology has grown so much, and also my understanding of what spirit is and how the connection is, it's not actually that far apart. It doesn't matter actually if we're 20 kilometers or 2 meters or
it's beyond time and space.
10,000 kilometers, because it's all got to do with spirit. So yes, I'm sad you're going, that I can't see you in person, but I think you've got a good community, and I think it will expand. I know it will expand. Definitely know a few friends that will be joining.
Great.
And it doesn't really matter if you're that far away. It's just about spirit.
Exactly. Well, I mean, most of the time you're joining on Zoom anyway. So whether I'm in Joburg, Cape Town, or doesn't matter. I mean, the last time we did this was months ago. So
exactly.
Yeah, it is nice to do, but you can do it on Zoom. Okay, so thanks for sharing. Who else hasn't shared anything? So John, anything to share? Just need to unmute yourself. There we go.
Should I make some more tea?
Sorry, you still muted?
Go for it. No, I'm good, thank you. Help yourself.
Okay, I'm here.
Yep.
Yeah. I think what you're offering, Jono, is unique, because I think part of my own lack. I have been doing the course for 15 or whatever it is years, but I've never really looked at the text or considered the text. So I find your integration of the text and with the course is really useful. And although I've been to talks on the course in the past, you get too much information in one go. And this is nice because you're doing it kind of in little chunks and helping people really get a grasp of it. And that's come through for me in terms of, I really get a sense now of the transformation that can come about when you hit a difficult situation and you really focus on what the message of the day is, or whatever, or the lesson or the text. It really is quite transformative. And although I've found the theory of it's all an illusion, an abstract thought in the past, I can kind of get a sense of it now. And it is helpful. I think whilst it's kind of flattering to think that Sue and I might be one of the more enlightened oldies, I think there's a lot of oldies around actually that would appreciate that do have the capacity to change. I think you might be underestimating that one.
Well, it's great. It'd be brilliant.
Yeah. I'm pleased to hear that when you pick up the program again in a week or so's time, we'll have less time on the sharings, because I find that there's a bit too much waffle in the sharings.
Okay.
Today is an important day, and we've now had an hour, and we haven't started.
Well, we have, because this is part of it. But
yeah.
Crack on, yeah. We're gonna get into the material now. Okay. Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that feedback. Anything else to share?
Well, just thank you very, very much, John. It's been I've really gained a lot from it, and look forward to carrying on.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. Well, thank you for joining, and it's been my pleasure. You teach what you need to learn. So every time I do this, it's like it's another layer for me, gone of the ego. It's like, wow. Okay, look at what's possible if you just commit to this and dedicate yourself to this. So that's why I said, I'd really like to do this full time, and just focus on growing this community and bringing more people in, so that this can be shared with many more people. I think there's a great need in the world. So watch this space. I'm going to be working on that in the next few months. And as I said, we'll start again in a week, just to give you a bit of a break, to consolidate, reflect, catch up, review, rest, and then rather than just like jump straight into it tomorrow, I need a break as well, to be honest. It's been quite intense. So next Sunday, we'll start again. I'll details of how you do that, And I'd like to actually do a call with each one of you this week, just to get your in-person feedback. I always do that, and that's very helpful to help you, if you, which I'm going to ask you to fill in as well. But so if you can all schedule a time for me, just for half an hour one-on-one call, that would be really helpful in the next few days. So I'll be emailing you on Tuesday with the details of how you get into the program and all of that. So just watch out for that. Okay, and Victoria, anything to share?
Hi there, can you hear me okay?
Yes,
I'm
we
getting
can.
lots of
We can't see
echoes
you.
here.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Okay, there we go. That's a bit of a weird view, but there we go.
No problem.
So,
No.
yeah, sorry, I missed the beginning. I didn't know we were starting early. I obviously missed that bit. So I was a bit confused when these voices suddenly appeared from you, and you turned your camera around. I thought, who's that? So is that obviously one of them's Kim, and is it Karen? Is it Karen?
Kim and Karen, yeah.
Karen,
We've come.
Oh no, it was. I
Come to
didn't know because I
Karen's
thought.
house and she's
I
kindly
see.
testing this.
I missed that bit. Okay. So are we just sharing about the course in general, or what?
Whatever.
Just,
yeah.
Okay.
Anything coming up? Any reflections on the last 6 weeks? Any questions?
No. I mean, I'm still taking it all in. I suppose is the best thing to say. A little bit tired today, but all right. I mean, brilliant material. I mean, I think all your material is brilliant. I'm still catching up on it. As I said before, I need to sort of take it in bite-sized chunks, really. But some really great stuff in there. What else? Yeah, I mean, one thing I did just, because I know I joined the conversation halfway through, so forgive me if I missed bits. But when you said you wanted to, automate it all. I suppose the one thing that concerns me is I don't particularly want my ramblings being automated and sent out to much wider audiences, because I know I asked you about that right at the beginning of the course, and you said the only people that will hear it is the people that are on the course now, like the 8 people on the Facebook group or whatever. So I don't, assuming you're going to be mega successful, which I'm sure you will be, like, I don't really want thousands of people listening to my weird warblings. Whether they judge them as weird or not, I don't really care, but I just not happy with that, really. I just need to mention that.
Yeah, sure. So the recordings are posted in the Facebook group. At this stage, there's only about 11 people, including myself, who have access to it. If that grows and people join, that back material is available to them, but it's in a closed community. It's not available to anyone. They have to have been on this program, doing the course, paying for it, etc. So it's not like everyone has access.
Oh yeah, and I understand that, but I just meant that could be, some people's groups grow to thousands and thousands, isn't it? So in effect, it's very public.
Well, if if it does,
nice problem to have from your point of view.
It is a nice problem to have, yeah. And obviously, at that sort of level, the level of sharing will have to be greatly diminished, because you can't have 1,000 people, all sharing their stuff. So you might have might have 1 or 2 people saying, okay, if you've got something like really significant, share it, and we can talk to that. And
I understand that.
Making it publicly, like say to people, look, you got to be comfortable with recording this. Don't share if you don't want to be recorded, because the idea is that we learn, other people can learn from it. That's really the idea.
Yeah, no, I do understand that bit. It's just, I think if some of these, like, which will be your historic recordings, go out, it will be very historic. Go out, then there might have far more of us sharing than you will have in the future. That's all. And it just, I suppose it's not really something I signed up for. I just needed to mention it again.
Okay, so
there's not, and also. It's not that I've shared in loads of them. So
what I would say to that is, generally people, because it's back material, they're probably not going to go and look at it. If there are live sessions happening, it's like, the live sessions or where it's at. I mean, how many people here really went to the recordings? Not, you just probably didn't.
Oh yeah, no, but I did notice that one of the ones you sent out was some from a previous course.
Yeah. Yes.
Which
yeah.
was other people talking who wouldn't know that we were going to be listening to them.
No, I got their permission. I got everyone was comfortable.
Okay.
So those pre-recordings that are in the emails, I'm not going to do that again because it was a lot of work. Like these recordings are not going to be put into a back catalog.
Okay, cool. Okay.
I'm not going to do that because I've got one lot. I mean, this can't have another
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, no, that's cool.
So they'll be on the back, in Facebook. If people really want to go and look at them, they can go and find.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say go there and look at it.
Oh no, that's fine.
Yeah. So that those kind of recordings are going to be the recordings that are available as kind of the pre-recorded version of the course. And the people recording, you're just not going to be able to go and go, oh, well, I want more, So I don't think it's too much of a concern, but if there are any recordings featuring you and you're not happy with it, I'll just delete them. So like if anyone's not happy for a particular recording to be in the recording, then it's fine. I'll just remove it.
Yeah, well, I won't remember which one it is. I believe me. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to take away from the great stuff you do. I know I'd raised that before. So, and also other people might raise it to you in the future. So maybe it's a gift.
Yeah, well, I think it's permission. People have got to give permission. If you're not comfortable sharing, then don't share. Because the idea of the recordings is that it's recorded so that other people can learn.
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay. Anything else to share?
No, I don't know. I don't think so. No. But thank you. Sorry, the signal's going a bit weird. I think it's going a bit in and out. I don't know if it's me or you. I'll stop the video because that might help the signal a little bit.
Okay.
Sometimes it helps the signal.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Everyone anyone got any more questions or you want to raise? Otherwise, I want to get into some material. So let's have a look at today's. I'm going to share my screen. Let's have a look at the lesson quickly, and then we'll read the second half of the message of the crucifixion and text. So I'm just going to share my screen. Actually, let's just do screen. That's what I want to do. Okay, can everyone see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay, so let's just have a little look at the lesson and take turns reading the paragraphs of the lesson, and so in the way we've been doing, and then we'll move on to the text. So who wants to kick us off? John, do you want to kick us off with
Yeah. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. See, yeah, I'm just kind of looking at the word very, but we'll come to that, I'm sure. Today's idea does not describe the way you see yourself now. It does, however, describe what vision will show you. It is difficult for anyone who thinks he is in this world to believe this of himself. Yet the reason he thinks he is in this world is because he does not believe it.
Okay, anything stand out for you there?
Yeah, it's a nice bold statement. Yeah. The idea does not describe the way you see yourself now.
Yeah, so he's addressing us where we are, but saying,
But,
this
you know,
is who you really are.
and we are here because we don't believe it. So, yeah, yeah.
He's always direct, isn't he? What I love about the Course.
Yes, yes.
Not beating about the bush. He's very direct.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions on paragraph 1? Should we move on? Okay, we're just reading the lesson. Okay, paragraph 2. Sue, will you read that for us, please?
You will believe that you are part of where you think you are. That is because you surround yourself with the environment you want. And you want it to protect the image of yourself that you have made. The image is part of this environment. What you see while you believe you are in it is seen through the eyes of the image. This is not vision. Images cannot see.
Okay. Any questions there or anything stand out for you?
Well, it's quite clear, isn't it? It's talking about the image we've made of our world, and we're seeing what we want to see, and we're projecting out into it. And because it's just an image, it's not actually true vision.
He's saying the body is an image that you see while you believe you're in it, in this image. So the body is an image. It's an interesting idea, isn't it? Because it's a projection of the mind. So you're an image. This whole thing is an image. And he's saying an image cannot see. You think the body has the eyes to see. This image can see, but actually it's not seeing at all. It's just an illusion. A very powerful one. Very, like, because we've so entrenched ourselves in the belief that we are the image, and in the belief in the physical senses, that that seems to be true. But from the higher level of the mind, which is where he's coming to us from, saying this is just an image, and it's a projection of your own mind. So now, how can a projection, a projected image of your mind, actually see anything? It's only seeing more images. What it's seeing is false. This is not vision. He says images cannot see. Your body cannot. It's pretty mind-blowing stuff, actually, when you really think about it. Images cannot see. Okay, I'm not really seeing anything here, right? Quite a nice analogy for this. A good way to think of it is you're in a movie, and you've been projected by this ego mind onto the screen. Okay, except it's a 4-dimensional screen, so it's 3 dimensions of space and time. And now you've so identified with the image on the screen that you go, that's me. And, this is what I'm doing here. And you get identified with your behavior, your actions, your results, the whole story. That's just an image on the screen. And you've forgotten that actually beyond the image, if you track all the way back to the projector, and you go beyond the film that's running over the light, then what's beyond that? There's a light, there's something, there's awareness. And so it's to track back and go, actually, my mind is part of God's. My mind is that light. My mind is the fundamental awareness beyond the images, beyond the film, beyond the projection mechanism of the ego. None of this is really true. And if I'm just associating with the image and what I see through the eyes of the image, I'm lost. I'm just stuck in this image world. I'm stuck in this dream world. So again, just another way of tracking us back and saying, actually, you're beyond the image. You're beyond all images. Your mind is pure and holy. You are that light, the fundamental formless awareness that's before all images. You are that presence. That's you. And the image that you think you are, that you've made, is of no effect at all, really. Of course, you look okay.
Pretty real.
Seems to be, but it's just a projection of the mind. What tells you that this is real? The only thing that tells you it's real is you have some kind of sense perception of it. I can feel my hands, I can see, smell, taste, touch. That's what makes it real. How do you know that those sense perceptions are actually reality? You don't. You're purely guided by, like, okay, that's what I'm perceiving. So the mind then has interpreted and said, well, that's real. But how do you know? You don't really know. There's no objective proof that any of this is real. This is where he's going with this. How do you know you're not in a computer program? As you know, the Matrix. That's why we did the film studies. Everyone watched that movie, by the way. He's saying, you know, when he's teaching Neo, he's just come out the Matrix. He says, how do you know? These are just electrical impulses to your brain. How do you know that what you feeling, seeing, touching, tasting is real? Just electrical signals to the brain. How do you know that is actually there? And he was like, whoa, get me out of here. This is too much. So again, he's saying that to us, and he's saying it over and over and over again. Okay, any questions on that?
Jono, can I just ask, in your analogy there with the projector?
Yeah.
So it's like, is that like saying that we're the, I don't know, the decision or the thing, that there's something that actually is behind the projector? We decided to put the projector there, and we're operating the projector. So we're like kind of God for this moment, just pretending that we're that funny little thing running around on the screen that we've just projected.
Yeah. So it's all a pretense.
Is that right? Yeah.
It's a pretense. But the projection.
Yeah, I know. I understand that. I was just thinking, are we like the projector operator? You know,
Yeah.
like the full. Yeah.
Although it seems we're not. That's the illusion of the ego.
Yeah, of course, I understand that. But in your scenario, I really got it then, because you could just imagine sitting behind the projector and thinking, this is crazy. I'm just imagining I'm that little insect in the film.
Yeah. And that's where he's trying to take us. It's beyond the projection. It's saying you are the light of formless awareness that can just look beyond all the projections and the images, and know that, you know, you are eternal light. You are infinite.
Mm-hmm.
You're not an image. You're not any of it. And so it's being projected from a part of the mind, the ego, that has now apparently separated, and it's doing this simultaneously. I mean, we just have no idea how we're doing this. We've forgotten. It's like we've done all this, then we've thrown away the key to it, and we've gone, I've forgotten that how I've actually done this. But right now, we're all projecting and perceiving simultaneously, and that's happening in a shared dream. So it seems to be real for each of us from our individual perspective. But we're all making this up simultaneously together, projecting and perceiving. We see certain, okay, well, we both, we seem to see a couch. You see a couch, I see a couch, we agree there's a couch. So that's like the shared mind, the shared ego has projected that. But now your split mind, your little perception of that, sees that from a different perspective than I do. It's a genius, really. I mean, you think, wow, look at what the ego's done. This is pretty amazing. What a deception to have gone to this length to confuse the mind into believing that it's a body and that it has an individual identity. I mean, this is like way beyond what most people will conceive of as possible. But this is what we've done. That's what he's saying. Yeah, this is what you've done in order to have a separate identity. That's the whole thing. That's why you've done this. The world is there so that you can have an individual identity and run around in a body for a while and think you have free will, think you have your own identity. And of course, suffer all the implications of that decision. Because if you think you have your own identity, you also have your own special problems, your own difficulties, challenges, suffering, sickness, death. All of this stuff goes with that separate identity. The only way out of it is to say, I'm not that identity. I'm not limited to this little body. I am the light, even though I'm still apparently connected. My mind seems to be operating the body, but actually it's not really my mind. It's not the little mind operating the body anymore. It's the eternal light. It's now, and that's what he's trying to do with it. This teaching, saying it's the light, it's the eternal love of God that's now operating you, and that's who you really are. So it's like now you've just become who you really are, and that's coming through, and it's now directing what the character in the dream is going to do, say, think, and say, and do. And so now it's not directed by the little ego that's playing all its games, just trying to limit you to this little image that it's made up. You are the light coming through into this world to show, to demonstrate by your thoughts, your words, and your actions that the light is true. That is the ultimate truth, and everything else is false. Everything else is illusion. That's our calling. That's why we're here. There's no other purpose. Does that, sorry, I sort of rambled on a bit there, Victoria. Does that kind of answer your question? Does it clarify?
That's cool. Thank you.
So yeah, it's just another way of looking at it. You might be interested. I think Ramana Maharshi, I actually got that from his book. He talked about this, like it's like a projector. Because in those days they just invented film. So now we've got digital and so on, but then it was like a light and then the film across the light and then it got projected out. So he's saying, well, it's the same idea. There's this film, that's the ego, that's just running these images across the light and then projecting them out. And now they seem to be out there and you seem to be embroiled in this. But if you track it back beyond the film, that's the distortion mechanism of the ego. Then there's a light, just pure formless awareness, before any of the images were made up.
Elizabeth. Sorry. Hello.
Is that Lisa?
Yeah, she's pulling in.
Okay.
Where's my keys?
They weren't.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on to paragraph 3. Idea for today. Kim, if you can read that for us.
And then I need to. I've got to finish
The idea for today presents a very different view of yourself. By establishing your source, it establishes your identity and it describes you as you must really be in truth. We will use somewhat different kind of application for today's idea because the emphasis for today is on the perceiver rather than on he perceives.
On what he perceives.
On what he perceives.
Mm.
So I think it's really much what you were saying before. It's now focusing on that, what is the actual projected image.
So establishing your source.
Sorry, I mean not the projector, not the perceive.
Yeah.
Rather than what he perceives, which is the image.
Okay. Today on the perceiver. Yeah. And what he's trying to show us with all these exercises is that it's what we think we perceive and the perceiver are totally bound up together. These are not separate. The one is a reflection of another. The perceiver and the perceived thing, are just different sides of the same coin. So the ego has made up the whole illusion to give us the illusion that there is a separate perceiver. That's why all of this, that there is some kind of separate self that's perceiving a world as separate from itself. And this is collapsing that. So just if you go to the source of the light, there's only one. There's only one awareness. And that's your true identity. Okay, so that takes us to the practice. So maybe let's just do a little, because we're not actually going to do a meditation there. We're going to do the holotropic. So let's do a little meditation on this, just for 5 minutes or so. I'll just guide you through the practice, and then we'll go into reading today's text. Any questions on this, by the way? No? Okay. So just making yourself comfortable. Just going to do a little short practice on this. So sitting in the meditation posture, feet shoulder width apart, cup your hands in your lap, keep your back straight. Maybe we'll just wait for, I think they're about to come upstairs, so just wait a minute for Lisa. It's okay, we're about to start a meditation, so come on up, join in. Hi, Lisa. Nice to see you. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, as Jim Carrey said. Yeah, we're just going to do a hello. You can join us if you want. So there's Lisa. She did the previous course. I don't think any of you have met her. But, Corin's met her. She's just joined us for the second part of the session. So I'm just going to do a little med on today's lesson, just 10 minutes. So making yourself comfortable, sitting with your feet shoulder width apart, cup your hands in your lap, keep your back straight. Just close your eyes. Yeah, you can sit down if you want, cross your legs if you want, make yourself comfortable, take off your shoes if you want. Okay, so just start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. Cup your hands in your lap, keep your back straight, close your eyes. And just connect in with your breath. Notice the stomach rise, notice the chest rising. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Just drawing in the life energy. Feel that rising up the spine, on the base of your spine. It's flowing up the spine into the crown of your head. Just pause at the top of the inhale. And search your mind for various kinds of descriptive terms in which you see yourself. So include all the ego-based attributes which you ascribe to yourself, positive or negative, desirable or undesirable, grandiose or debased, whatever it may be. Just bring those descriptive terms to mind. And as you do that, try to recognize that the direction of your fantasies about yourself does not matter. Illusions have no direction in reality. They are merely not true. Breathe in again. Just top yourself up so you fill up with air. There's an awareness, so you're just able to notice these thoughts as they crop up. You might say to yourself, I see myself as imposed on. I see myself as oppressed. I see myself as victimized. I see myself as depressed. I see myself as failing. I see myself as endangered. This is all the stuff that came up in the Name Your Game exercise we did a few weeks ago. So if any of those ideas are still lurking around in your mind, just notice them and name them. This is about naming it. You might think of positive things. See myself as victorious. See myself as charitable. I see myself as virtuous. And think of these terms as various situations, personalities, and events occur to you. So they're not abstract. There's a situation in your life. Just bring that to mind, and whatever arises in your mind, whatever self-definition related to that situation arises, just look at it. Breathe into it to create some space around it as you name it. So I see myself as whatever. And then after you've named each situation, just add to yourself, but my mind is part of God's. I'm very holy. And breathe that in. Just breathe in holiness. You can imagine a light. This is a light beyond the dream, a light beyond the illusion. The light of the divine. Feel that light infusing every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every corner of your mind, every fiber of your being is in the light. And say, but my mind is part of God, so I'm very holy. Now exhale. Just releasing all of those self-definitions, whatever came to mind. Once and for all, you're letting these go. This is not who you are. These are just part of the image's belief in itself. So blow them all out like a black smoke out of your mouth. Pull the lower stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. And just find some peace and stillness at the bottom of the exhale. Notice the light, the love that is formless, that arises when you just let go of all these false images, false self-concepts. We talk about an image, you have a self-image. Well, this is taking it to another level. Your self-image that's associated with a character in the dream of time and space is simply false. So breathe in again, nice deep breath in. And as you breathe in, imagine this light flowing into every pore of your body, every cell, every muscle, every corner of your mind, every fiber of your being is in the light. The light of the divine. Maybe you get to a point where there's just emptiness, openness, spacious awareness. Notice how nice that feels. Breathe it in. Connect with it deeply. Say, my mind is part of God's. My mind is part of love's lights, this eternal, infinite, loving presence. My mind is part of that. I'm connected to that. That is my source. I'm very holy. filling you up. As you exhale, you extend it out. Imagine the light flowing through you to bless and heal everyone here, physically present in this little group on Zoom, and extend it out to your friends, your family, loved ones. Feel that light just coming through you. This is the divine light beyond all forms, beyond all images. And just rest in that for a couple of minutes. Just watch your breath, breathing in and out through your nose. Notice the breath flowing in and out through the nostrils. Just focus all your attention on the breath and allow this light just to arise. It's really about surrendering to it and saying, not my will, but thy will be done. You show me. You guide me. Guide all my thoughts, my words, my actions. And I'm just a channel for the light and the love of the divine. So it is said, so it is done. So just for a couple of minutes, breathe, relax, be still, and just surrender into the light. Say to yourself, my mind is part of God's. I am very holy. And then surrender into that holiness for the next couple of minutes. Just need to plug it in. When many thoughts arise, just notice them and gently let them go with the help of your breath. So you exhale, just releasing them, letting them go to the nothingness they really are. So just blowing them away with the breeze of your breath. They are clouds, have no power to obscure the eternal light in your mind. So just sink into that light, surrender to it completely. Think of nothing and just be in the light of your true nature for the next minute. So deep silence. And so very gently, just bring your awareness back into body, senses. On the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, breathing in, noticing the stomach rise, chest rise, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Feel the energy rising up the spine into the crown of your head. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Scanning your mind again. There's nothing going on there. Just notice that spacious awareness. This is the light. Anchor it in for the rest of the session. Any thoughts, just dismiss them by saying, my mind is part of God's, I'm very holy. Exhale. Notice the air flowing out of your nostrils, the chest and the stomach suck back in. Notice the energy subsiding back down the front channel of your body into your lower stomach, your groin. It's coming to rest in the lower stomach and groin. It's feeling the weight of your body pressing down to the chair, the feet touching the ground. On the count of 2, breathing in, noticing any smell in your nose, any taste in your mouth, and noticing what you're hearing. Notice how these sounds just arise and they subside. They come and they go, they pass away, but it's an underlying stillness. It's always there. This is exactly the same as the light. It's just perceived through your ears rather than in your mind. The stillness is the light, is the loving presence, the grounded being, God, call it whatever you want. It's always there, just waiting for your awareness to return to it. So just keep some awareness on that stillness. You can do that by watching your breath through the session. Keep some awareness on the breath as we continue. So it is said, so it is done. And 3, open your eyes. Take a minute to look around. And just remind yourself that whatever you see is just an image, seen through the eyes of the image, which is the body. Really, your mind is part of God's. So my mind is part of God's. I am very holy. Notice how that feels. And just try and stay there in that nice, calm, connected state. And watch your breath. Keep some awareness on the breath as we go on to keep you anchored to that state. That's the idea. The breath is an anchor into a deeper state of awareness. Okay. So we just can we sort this out? Just need to plug this in before we lose power. Everyone back with us? Do you want to use my extension maybe? Or is it long enough?
It might be, unless we put it on the slide, but then you're gonna lose. No.
Good. So let's do a bit of reading, I think. We started this on Friday, so I thought we could finish this. And we're going to go on to exercise 10. So this is section 1 of chapter 6. I think we left it off at paragraph 10. We got it there. You go to the first bookmark. Yeah, I think we were going to. Right, okay. External speakers, okay. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So I think we left it off at paragraph 10. So let's start off there. John, will you read that for us, please?
Yeah. We are still equal as learners, although we do not need to have equal experiences. The Holy Spirit is glad when you can learn from mine and be reawakened by them. That is their only purpose, and that is the only way in which I can be perceived as the way, the truth, and the life. When you hear only one voice, you are never called on to sacrifice. On the contrary, by being able to hear the Holy Spirit in others, you can learn from their experiences and can gain from them without experiencing them directly yourself. That is because the Holy Spirit is one, and anyone who listens is inevitably led to demonstrate his way for all.
Okay, anything stand out for you there?
I like this idea of you don't have to have the experience yourself. You can learn from others through their experience.
Yeah, which is fantastic in the case of Jesus, especially because when one doesn't really want to go through the crucifixion as he did ourselves. That's sort of what he's trying to say to us. That, we can learn from his experience. He did it for us so that we could learn from his experience without having to experience it directly ourselves. Okay, anything else? Any questions about that? Number 10. Oh no, we're on the text, section 1 of chapter 6, the text.
Sorry, just went back to.
Do you want to use your book maybe? Sometimes it's easier. Or I can put it up for you in there. But,
Yeah.
okay, any questions on that?
Yeah, my phone just went when I went back to 0 when I answered.
Okay, yeah, let me see if we can find it there. Okay, any questions on paragraph 10?
I just have one thought, actually. I have a friend who's been severely depressed for probably 15 years, and and it's very difficult to kind of get a hold for where he is, and he's very elusive. And I often wonder, what is the point of his existence? Because he is in misery most of the time. And I kind of think sometimes, well, there must be a purpose in this. And sometimes when I'm with him, I do kind of experience a humbling, which is quite moving. I guess I'm just wondering what the point of living such misery is. Just an illusion that one is choosing to prolong, or is there a purpose in it?
Well, suffering is necessary until you realize it's unnecessary. He obviously hasn't come to that realization yet. So there is no, Jesus is very clear, saying there's no purpose in all that misery and suffering. This is just the ego's miscreation. So it only has a purpose in that it can awaken you to the truth. Through all the misery and suffering, you can get to the point where you go, okay, I'm done with this, enough. And close that because we got a bit of. I'm done with this, and it's enough. And I'm going to change my mind, and I'm going to return my mind to spirit. That's the only purpose we have here. So he's just hasn't woken up to that yet. He's too addicted to his suffering and his ego. And maybe he won't in this life, but at some point he will.
Mm.
And the more suffering you have, the more it becomes unbearable. At some point, everyone says there must be a better way. And that's when the transformation starts. So he hasn't hit that point yet, but there is no point to suffering. The ego is just the ego's miscreation.
And you have some people who are genuinely trying to search, and I know a couple of people who have been searching for a better way, but have committed suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe in one case he was bipolar and he used to flip around, and another, and there's another case where I'm just genuinely bemused as to why she took her own life.
Well, I think there's a desperation. If you just believe in this world, you can feel very, very, very trapped, very stuck here, very imprisoned, and I mean, I thought of suicide. Come on, let's be honest. Easier to go out, to just leave. This things are tough. Then guess what? You're going to be back. And the lesson is going to recur in another life. And you're going to have to deal with it then. If you keep committing suicide, then you're never learning your lessons. You probably get to the same point in every lifetime, and then, okay, well, are you going to learn your lesson this time, or are you going to check out?
Yeah.
So suicide is not really an option because you haven't really learned that. And it's tempting. It can be like, well, I could just be free. You could just go. The problem is, if all that mental and emotional turmoil is there, you die in that way. Your mind isn't healed. Your mind's still very much in the ego's grip. So although you're incorporeal for a while, that the guilt and the fear and the sin is going to bring you back, because that's why you reincarnate. You'll come back. So rather die. The true death is you dying to the false self. That's actually, and it can feel like death. And one of the temptations to go, oh, well, I just kill myself, but it's not death of the body; it's the death of the ego mind, or the undoing of the ego mind, rather. So I hope does that help in any way, that comment?
It does on an intellectual level, yeah.
Okay. Maybe that'll become experiential.
Yeah.
At the point.
Yeah.
So it is we're talking about deep-seated issues and life and death and suicide. I think is one of the things that people don't like to talk about. I think actually statistically it's the biggest killer on the planet. It's up there, and it doesn't really get talked about very much because it's taboo. You talk about COVID and things that will kill you, but I think it's something that's very, very prevalent. A lot of people are probably thinking about it. They're just not doing it necessarily. It's like people.
Yeah.
There's a quote by one poet. I think it was Henry David Thoreau. who was part of the Enlightenment movement in the 19th century in the US. He said men lead lives of quiet desperation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the case with so many people. And until you start going, there's got to be a better way, and let me find that way. That, you know, the answer's within me. Then there's hope. Then you go, actually, I know there's something else. I'm connected to that. Okay, from that place of being connected to love and light, I can actually have quite a happy dream here. It could be actually quite fun for a while. I know this isn't my true reality. It's not eternal, but I could have a happy dream, and I could extend love and light, and I could actually make this a worthwhile experience temporarily.
Most people that are depressed are normally live for themselves. So it's always better when it's fulfilling when you
Yep.
help
Okay.
others, you live for others as well.
Exactly. So it's about finding some kind of purpose other than just yourself, because that's very, very narrow, very insular, and it's very easy to get depressed. It's just me and my little world. Where's the expansiveness? Where's the love?
We had the discussion before Lisa got here. Basically, yeah, I mean, my business is not doing so well, and I was ready to throw in the towel and applied for a job, and I got turned down on Thursday. And the first thing I said to the CEO of the company was, you know, basically what we do is we feed people with nourishment, and if you need my help, despite the fact you're turning me down, if you need my help, let me know, because food is nourishment and that's healing. And I was quite surprised at my own reaction, despite the fact that I'm not earning a salary and all that kind of stuff. It's like, you actually just have to look outward and be grateful for what you have. And it's very easy to say, but I think that suffering from depression, it's all about me.
It's very inward, yeah. So whereas as soon as you go, actually, how can I be helpful?
Yes.
What are you doing? You're extending love. You're saying, actually, I've got to feel some kind of love just beyond this depression. So you're like having a higher purpose can really, if you're really on purpose, you can't be depressed. Possible, because like the love's flowing through you. Like where's the depression then? It's gone. Love just dissolves all of that. Okay, so let's move on to paragraph 11. Sue, if you can read that for us, please.
You are not persecuted, nor was I. You are not asked to repeat my experiences, because the Holy Spirit, whom we share, makes this unnecessary. To use my experiences constructively, however, you must still follow my example in how to perceive them. My brothers and yours are constantly engaged in justifying the unjustifiable. My one lesson, which I must teach as I learned it, is that no perception that is out of accord with the judgment of the Holy Spirit can be justified. I undertook to show this was true in an extreme case, merely because it would serve as a good teaching aid to those whose temptation to give in to anger and assault would not be so extreme. I will with God that none of his sons should suffer.
Okay, anything stand out for you there? I found it for you. Number 11, paragraph 11. Anything stand out for you there?
No, it's quite a lot. I'm just trying to take it in.
He's giving us the whole message of the crucifixion, isn't he?
Yeah.
Undertook to show this in an extreme case, merely because it would serve as a good teaching aid to those whose temptation to give into anger and assault would not be so extreme. It's an extreme example of forgiveness in the face of extreme temptation. To help us to say, well, if Jesus could do it in that instance, then why can't I do it? And whatever's coming up for me is not nearly as difficult as what he had to go through. So it's possible. If it's possible in that extreme situation, then it's possible for me and whatever the drama is in my life that's playing out. And we're always trying to justify the unjustifiable. My brothers and yours are constantly engaged in justifying the unjustifiable. That's what we do here. We try and justify these misperceptions, anger and so on. Can you not see it? Number 11. No. There we
Yes,
go.
I'm doing number 12.
You do the next one. Okay, everyone good with number 11? Can we move on?
Yep.
Okay, number 12. Corin, if you can read that.
The crucifixion cannot be shared because it is a symbol of projection, but the resurrection is a symbol of sharing because the reawakening of every son of God is necessary to enable this sonship to know its wholeness. Only this is knowledge.
Okay. Anything stand out for you? Actually, read 13 as well because that's very short.
The message of crucifixion is perfectly clear. Teach only love, for that is what you are. So that's an easy one for me. That is what you are.
Teach only love, for that is what you are.
And that's been a difficult one for me to get my head around.
Well, that's why we need to teach it. You teach what you need to learn.
Mostly.
So there's your purpose. And we did all this in the name of your game, I am love. Okay, but now how are you going to learn that you love? See, this is where the high purpose comes in. Because you teach it. You teach it and you teach it and you teach it through your words and your actions until the penny starts to drop. You start to go, well, if I'm just extending love all the time, I must be love. There's nothing else. And it's the way we learn it.
Do you grasp that? I mean, 10 years ago, a spiritual teacher of mine I met randomly, and he just looked at me and he said, I've just got one thing to say to you. You are love, you are love, you are love.
Oh.
I don't really believe that in myself.
We don't believe it. That's our entire problem. But the solution is to go, okay, but I'm going to teach this and teach this and teach this in my words, my thoughts, my actions. I'm dedicate my life to this.
But until you believe that you are love, how can you teach it?
Because it's an iterative process. And the more you do it, the more you start to believe it. See? So that's the purpose of your higher purpose. You're actually doing it, and you're actually you're actually doing it. You're teaching it through your words and your actions, and you start to feel it more. You start to feel love flowing. And how can you doubt it anymore? You're like, well, that's what I am. That presence that I feel when I'm doing this, when I'm on purpose, that feels lovely. It feels authentic. It feels whole. I feel complete. Okay, well, maybe that's who I am. And the more we do it, the more we start to live that way, the more that belief, I am love, becomes true for us. See? So that's...
Sounds so easy when you say it.
Well, but it isn't. It isn't. I mean, it's simple in principle. I mean, that's why I'm saying, just teach only love, for that is what you are. But to keep doing it means every time you do it, every time you say, okay, I'm just going to teach only love in this situation. I mean, you did it in that example you gave with, when you got turned down for the job. But every time you do it, you're teaching yourself, I'm love. Moment by moment, action by action, word by word. And he's saying that's your purpose. That's why you're here, to learn that you are love, and you learn it by teaching it. So as you extend it out in whatever way, shape, or form that is for you, it might be doing Reiki healing, it might be helping people with nutritional supplements, it might be, you know, in Sue and John's case, they want to do walks and volunteer to help people. It doesn't matter. The form of it isn't that important. What matters is that you feel that extension happening.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose of your higher purpose. And that's your resurrection and your reawakening, is when you start doing that, then you start to wake up to who you really are. And start to realize, actually, I must be love. If I'm just extending love, there's nothing else. I must be that. Sooner or later, the penny will drop. So it's an iterative process. You know, he's saying you can do something about this. That's why it's a course in miracles, because miracles imply time and space and action. He's saying you need the miracles in order to learn who you are. That's your way out of the dream. If we could all just get it like, oh, okay, I'm just in revelation. You know, it does happen occasionally, but it doesn't happen very often. You know, a guy like Ramana Maharshi, like 17, he just poof, pop, he gets it. But almost certainly that's previous lifetimes. That's probably many incarnations, and then suddenly comes into this lifetime. He's almost got it in his previous lifetime, 17. He just gets it, and he's like, okay, that's it. I'm in bliss for the rest of my life. Doesn't happen that way for most people. So, you know, Jesus gave us a very practical process here. He's saying, look, if you just do this, you follow my guidance, and you teach only love, you will start to learn that is what you are. And that's why we spend quite a lot of time on this higher purpose, because that's how you learn what you are. Okay, makes sense. Shall we move on? Number 14. Victoria, if you can read that for us, please.
If you interpret the crucifixion in any other way, you are using it as a weapon for assault, rather than as the call for peace for which it was intended. The apostles often misunderstood it, and for the same reason that anyone misunderstands it. Their own imperfect love made them vulnerable to projection, and out of their own fear, they spoke of the wrath of God as his retaliatory weapon. Nor could they speak of the crucifixion entirely without anger, because their sense of guilt had made them angry.
Okay. Anything stand out for you there?
No, it's just it's quite comforting that even the apostles didn't quite get it all the time. And also, like, you know, the last bit about their sense of guilt made them angry, but of course they were so emotionally close to what happened as well, you know, so far more difficult to be distant. I like the bit about the retaliatory weapon.
The wrath of God. Remember, they came from the Jewish tradition, so that whole vengeful, wrathful God of the Old Testament was still very much in their psyche. And although Jesus had taught them this isn't the case, you know, when the crucifixion happened, it just triggered all of that to come up for them, and they hadn't quite got to the same level as he had.
And basically, and the first sentence, point 1, doesn't it, summarizes it basically.
Yeah, using it as a weapon for assault rather than the call for peace for which it was intended. So we misinterpret it. It's been hugely misinterpreted by Christians for 2,000 years. The whole thing's been misinterpreted, just like, you know, most of Jesus' teachings. But he's giving us the correct interpretation of it. Okay. Any questions about that? Should we move on to paragraph 15? So who hasn't read? James, if you can read that for us, please.
These are some of the examples of upside-down thinking in the New Testament. Although its gospel is really only the message of love, if the apostles had not felt guilty, they never could have quoted me as saying, "I come not to bring peace, but a sword." This is clearly the opposite of everything I taught. Nor could they have described my reactions to Judas as they did. If they had really understood me, I could not have said, "Betrayest thou the Son of Man with a kiss," unless I believed in betrayal. The whole message of the crucifixion was simply that I did not. The punishment I was said to have called forth upon Judas was a similar mistake. Judas was my brother and a son of God, as much a part of the sonship as myself. Was it likely that I would condemn him when I was ready to demonstrate that condemnation is impossible?
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, just read it again. But yeah, it does, yeah.
Anything stand out there?
Lines 2 and 3. If the apostles had not felt guilty, they never could have quoted me as saying, "I come not to bring peace, but a sword." This is clearly the opposite of everything I taught. That's what stands out for me in that. And also, line 7 or 8. Line, looking to read this in the song. Line 8, Judas was my brother and a son of God, as much a part of the sonship as myself. That's what stands out for me, you know.
Total forgiveness.
Yeah.
Even though on the level of form he was betrayed, it's of no meaning, it's of no consequence. Which is just another part of the teaching. You see how this, it's been very, very misinterpreted.
Yeah, I can.
Over thousands of years, and fortunately, he's just setting the record straight here. So this is actually what it meant, which is amazing. We've got this teaching.
Did the apostles actually say, "I do not"? Sorry, could you just go down again?
Yeah.
That quotation he says about,
sorry, I'm animating.
"I come not to bring peace, but a sword." I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I think that is a quote in the Bible.
Right.
Because remember, a lot of the New Testament was written a number of years after Jesus died, or resurrected, as the case may be. He didn't really die, and it was based on people's misinterpretations. So verbally, that got now taught to other people who then wrote it down, and they put it in as, okay, this is the gospel truth. Really, it's just perception, isn't it? It's their perception of that situation, how they perceived it, and now that's become so-called the truth. But actually saying that they were missing the mark a lot of the time. There's a lot of misunderstandings in the Bible, even in the New Testament, which is more true than the Old Testament. It's all because it's written from someone's point of view. Someone's written that, and they've put their own thoughts and beliefs into whatever they're writing. It comes through.
It seems difficult to believe that it actually is in the New Testament.
I think it might be in Revelations, actually.
Okay.
peace, but a sword. Because Revelations is like Jesus is some kind of crusading warrior with a sword of truth who's going to destroy all the enemies type thing.
Okay.
So it's a very kind of, a lot of Christians quote it and go, this is, and it's like, hang on, but who wrote Revelations? And they were writing it from a certain, again, a perspective of, that was their interpretation of Jesus, coming to kill the enemy and, make everything right, but he was some kind of warrior. And that wasn't what he was at all. It was their projection onto him.
Yeah. And isn't the Old Testament also upside down thinking?
Yeah, the Old Testament is very, very,
Very upside down.
wrathful.
Yeah.
God is pretty much a common theme throughout the whole thing, with a few rare exceptions. But it was that was their projection of God. That was what they believed.
Yeah.
So that that God was made in their own image. That's what we do. We make God in our own image, depending on where our mindset is. If we are in fear and guilt ourselves, then we create a God in that image. You have a wrathful, punishing, vengeful God, which is what Jesus came to say. No, this is just not true. That is not what God is at all. Okay, so let's move on to number 16. Who hasn't read? Lisa, if you can read for us.
Number 16.
Yeah.
As you read the teachings of the apostles, remember that I told them myself that there was much they would understand later, because they were not wholly ready to follow me at the time. I do not allow you to allow any fear to enter into the thought system toward which I am guiding you. I do not call for martyrs, but for teachers. No one is punished for sins, and the Son of God and the sons of God are not sinners. Any concept of punishment involves the projection of blame and reinforces the idea that blame is justified. The result is a lesson in blame, for all the behavior teaches the beliefs that motivate it. The crucifixion was the result of clearly opposed thought systems, the perfect symbol of the conflict between the ego and the Son of God. This conflict seems just as real now, and its lessons must be learned now as well as then.
Okay, anything stand out for you there?
Number 2, I do not want you to allow any fear to enter into the thought system towards which I am guiding you. So that's what stands out for me.
No one is punished for sins. I like that. The sons of God are not sinners. Any concept of punishment involves a projection of blame and reinforces the idea that blame is justified. And all behavior teaches the beliefs that motivate it. There's some really great, profound. So it's inside out. We behave, but we behave according to a certain belief. And so the behavior teaches the beliefs that motivate it. Yeah, of course. Why don't we see that? That's how it works. That's how the ego perpetuates itself.
To be guilty as well.
So we behave in a certain way that reinforces the belief. And we just keep going on that cycle until we start changing the belief. And then you change your actions, you see. So now you're using this cycle of, remember, it's the integral model. Belief, internal, external is your action, your behavior. So now you're using that cycle to help you rather than to harm you. Say, okay, I believe, and so I'm going to act in a loving way. The loving acts, the miracles, show me that actually these beliefs are true, that love is true, which causes you to believe more in the love, which causes you to act more loving, and so on. And so it becomes a positive spiral rather than a negative one. So you can use this connection between beliefs and behavior positively or negatively. It's up to you. But to change, if you're in a negative pattern, you have to start with the beliefs. You have to start going, okay, I have to at least consider that there might be something else. That actually there might be love. There might be a loving presence that's I'm feeling in my mind. Okay, let me just give this a go. Let me try starting to act a bit more lovingly. And then you start to get feedback from the world, because it's just a feedback mix. Oh, actually that worked quite well. Okay, maybe I should do it again.
Yeah,
I
so
feel
you're doing it out
better,
of
better
fear.
results. Okay. And now suddenly the mind's starting to change. Okay, actually maybe that default thought system of the ego isn't true. Maybe actually love is the truth. And if I just act in a loving way, things are going to work out a lot better. I'm going to feel a lot happier. Everything's going to work better in my life. So there's just like, that's the integral model right there. Behavior and beliefs.
That one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's the quadrant, 4 quadrants. You've got the interior individual is your beliefs, and then individual exterior is the behavior. And the two are integrally connected. You can't separate them, because beliefs lead to behavior. Behaviors reinforce the beliefs that motivated them. Okay, so a little refresh on the integral model there. I do not need gratitude, so I'll read this one. I do not need gratitude, but you need to develop. We done 16, eh? We just did 16. I do not need gratitude, but you need to develop your weakened ability to be grateful, or you cannot appreciate God. He does not need your appreciation, but you do. You cannot love what you do not appreciate, for fear makes appreciation impossible. When you are afraid of what you are, you do not appreciate it and will therefore reject it. As a result, you will teach rejection.
Protection.
Yeah, it's gratitude. I do not need gratitude, but you need to develop your weakened ability to be grateful, or you cannot appreciate God. Gratitude is very, very powerful. It's part of the whole loving idea of loving. If you can be grateful, then you're automatically in a loving state. And he's saying you need to be grateful. You don't need to be grateful to Jesus because he needs your gratitude. Be grateful because this is part of your own awakening to love. You need to be grateful because it connects you with your true nature.
But it can't, some of that it does. Like when I talk, lots been around. Okay, giving gratitude or being grateful every day, but you do feel a sense of, I guess that's that feeling of love ultimately, because it does. You do feel with that gratitude or appreciation something here. If nothing else describes it, and it doesn't feel much different from love. It's like be happy with what you have, and what you're usually grateful for, the things that are like probably another affirmation or a representation of something that's love in some sense, I think. So you do get that feeling, so I can resonate with that.
It's a guy called Masaru Emoto. I don't know if you're familiar with him. Did a whole lot of water experiments with water, and so he did these thought experiments really, where he'd write a label and then stick it on a beaker of water and leave it overnight, and then he'd freeze the water and take with a sort of electron microscope, take a photograph of the crystals, and you could see the difference between the ones that have been exposed to positive labels and negative. They're very different. And love and gratitude, he thought, was the most beautiful. A combination of those two. So.
Did he put love and gratitude?
Yeah.
Did he have one love and one?
No, he just had a love and gratitude as a label, and he thought that for him. I mean, obviously, love was beautiful as well, but love and gratitude he thought was the most beautiful in his view. So the two really do go hand in hand. If you can be grateful, then you're connecting with love. You can't be genuinely grateful and not have some kind of loving, expansive presence. And resentment and ingratitude go hand in hand. If you're ungrateful, there's a resentment by definition. It's like I'm resenting something. It shouldn't be, and you feel that constriction in your energy, don't you? So another little key. I mean, these great. The text is theoretical, but there's some great things you can pull out of it and go, actually, that's really applicable. Apply it to my life. Okay, so number 18. I think we've all had a turn to read. So, haven't you?
Not on this one.
Haven't you? Okay, so go for it. Number 18.
The power of the Son of God is present all the time because they were created as creators. Their influence on each other is without limit and must be used for their joint salvation. Each one must learn to teach that all forms of rejection are meaningless. The separation is the notion of rejection. As long as you teach this, you will believe it. This is not as God thinks, and you must think as he thinks if you are to know him again.
Okay, anything strike you there?
Each one must learn to teach that all forms of rejection are meaningless. That's how I actually do that. I mean, just around all forms of rejection are meaningless. As long as you do teach this, you will believe it. So if you're teaching rejection, I mean, a lot of people, many people fear that rejection. But I'm just wondering how you teach it.
How you teach rejection?
I think I've experienced, a friend of mine who she doesn't accept love. Like she's so fearful of rejection, but she's had relationships where she's rejected, and where someone's actually wants to love her, she
pulls away.
Yeah. I don't know if that's part of that, but I'm just saying in a more general sense.
Yeah, separation involves rejection. It's a notion of rejection by love. So if you are addicted to the ego, into your separate self, you cannot accept love, and you must believe in rejection. And then you just keep playing that off. Oh, well, I'm not worthy of love, so I'm going to be rejected. And then you keep creating rejection. And she's like, I really want love, but no, do you really want love, or do you just want rejection? Because that feeds her ego. That's her ego identity. See, and he's saying,
a hard lesson, hey?
Yeah, but you have to learn it. If you really want love and rejection not mutually incompatible, and you have to be willing to accept it and give it. Also a hard lesson for a lot of people. The unhealed healer, I can give it, but can I really accept it?
Healer healed herself.
Yeah. Okay, am I worthy of love? I'll give it. Then I was like, oh, okay, but when it's coming, I'm not quite sure about that, because
I'm not quite sure how to cope.
Yeah. Well, it threatens our self-image, doesn't it? If I'm separate, and now this divine love wants to flood in and just be you one. You're not separate from the person. That's what it's saying. Your self-image must be threatened if you've got a self-concept that's separate. That feels very threatening to it. And it's like, rather rejection and limitate and keep myself in this little box, rather than opening up to like, actually, I'm just one.
So like that doesn't
That's
really
love.
go, to be honest, that really doesn't go very down very well with humanity these days, because so many people are trying to protect their own corner. So you become all loving and you're seen as something that is not really within today's conformity.
Nothing's changed. Look at Jesus 2,000 years ago. Same thing.
Nothing's changed except for the fact that humanity has become so self-centered and so out their own backsides that.
But it was like that 2,000 years ago. Well, nothing's really, we think this time Well, it's more population, but I mean, he lives in a very restrictive time. It was very controlled Roman Empire, oppression, even authority and Jewish school.
But actually just do the healing
Huh.
that we need to do, because everybody else suppresses you and says, well, you know, when you're woo, so what? I'm woo. I burn incense and have a pono and do my meditations.
Remember, the ego is going to deny love in all of its aspects. It's going to say, no, well, that's all woo-woo. Okay, so then what, you'd prefer to be upset, angry?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
prefer conflict and violence, because that's what the ego gives you. So they're your choices.
Wow. I love it. A friend of mine said, you know, my sister says, you're one of my sister's woohoo friends. So I said, and
Well, it's just a judgment, isn't it?
and she turned around and she said,
What does
well,
that
you
mean?
saved my sister's life.
Hmm.
And we literally did. She
Mm.
was on the brink of death. And who did she reach out to? Who did I support? My friend.
Hmm.
On the brink of death, when everybody else had turned her back. It's like, well, I don't care if I'm woohoo.
Well, it's
I love it.
just a label.
Yeah.
Okay. Victoria says, devil to hear what the group's saying. It's just because of the micro. I need to turn it around. But we're nearly done with this. So shall we do the last paragraph? Someone? Any volunteers?
Lisa, you read nicely.
Yeah. Can we read number 19?
Thank you. You too.
Just take that a bit closer there.
Remember that the Holy Spirit is the communication link between God, Father, and His separated sons. If you listen to His voice, you will know that you cannot either hurt or be hurt, and that many need your blessing to help them hear this for themselves. When you perceive only this need in them and do not respond to any other, you will have learned of me and will be as eager to share your learning as I am. If you listen to His voice, you will know that you cannot either hurt or be hurt, and that many need your blessing to help them hear this for themselves. It's interesting.
Lovely. Okay. Any questions on that? No. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the reading. So shall we take a little comfort break, say 3 minutes, 5 minutes max, and then we're going to do exercise 10.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who are not here, ideally you need exercise 10 as a printed sheet. I think because I'm going to split the screen. You're gonna go into breakout groups. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see the screen or not. I will put it up there, but ideally you need it in front of you because there's 2 pages.
Should I print it?
I think Kim's got it. Yeah. So Kim's got it and you've got it. So that's fine because you're going to go in. You're going to go in couples.
I actually do have a question on that last part that we were reading.
Yeah.
Sure, I've been having these experiences with regards to animals. What it says there, it says that if you love, you cannot hurt or even feel hurt.
Yeah.
So, in terms of animals like ants, I'd always feel bad when people kill them because I'd ask myself, live and let live. Why do you have to kill?
Kill the ant.
Yeah, it has gotten that deep for me that I'd always just feel terrible. That why should I kill?
I use cinnamon. It repels them, but it doesn't kill them.
Okay, cinnamon and baby powder.
So baby powder, cinnamon, and a little bit of cayenne pepper. It doesn't kill the ants, but it repels them from where they are. So they go away, but they're not killed. Because I don't like to kill anything.
Exactly.
So,
Well, it was interesting on the Buddhist retreat I went on, the Vipassana retreat for 10 days in May, and one of they call it a sila, one of the like precepts that you should hold to was do not kill anything.
yeah.
So it's the idea is, you know, if you're killing something, there's an energy of killing. There's an energy of, so you actually, irrespective of the ant and the ant's welfare, well-being, because you could say, well, the ant doesn't feel anything. It's like one moment it's there and the next it's, well,
it's like one of the most powerful animals on earth.
but it's instantaneous. You know what I mean? Squash. It's like it didn't suffer. It's just like that's it, extinguished.
What if someone was to do that to you?
No, I know. But the point of the Buddhist teaching is that you know, if you're doing that, if you're expressing an energy of killing and anger and whatever, then that's not helping you. The whole point is to connect with, you know, your essence, which is love that it doesn't know about that. So it's one of the kind of fundamental precepts. They say you need to have that in place to be able to then go deeper into like wisdom and panya, they call it. Yeah.
I mean, so the ants is one thing. I'm like allergic to bees, so I could die if a bee stings me, and I will do whatever it takes to save a bee. I will flip and find some way to pick it up.
And just make sure you don't get stung in the process.
Yeah, the last time I got stung was a few weeks ago, and it was in my slipper actually, and I got stung, and the first thing I thought of was like, oh my gosh, I can't save this bee because it stung me. And whenever I see a bee, I grab it in something and I set it free. But when it actually stung me on the inside,
no, well, once it stung you, it's dead.
Yeah. So now I look at every single thing, like whether it's a spider or a wasp or a hornet, and I take it and I set it free, because it doesn't have the right to die because of me. So ants don't have a right to die because they're irritating me.
Exactly.
So I just put the cinnamon baby powder and the cayenne pepper, you shake it up in a little bottle, and you just spray it on wherever, and they go away. They don't die. It doesn't harm them.
Yeah, I mean, the more harmless you can be, the better. I mean, I broke my cellar because there was an insect on my, and I was like, just went, oh dear, I just killed the insect. You know, something's. But I was just like, okay, well, you know, stuff happens. You can't always, you know, but it wasn't intentional. It was just like, what's this on my, you know, and then, oh, sorry, it's just.
Yeah.
So don't get obsessed about it. You know, I mean, everything is in form. Everything's going to pass away. So things are going to come and go. But don't actively try and kill something.
Like intentionally go and spray a whole lot of ants.
Yeah, or squash them, or you know,
Even if I see one on my hand, I literally like take it very gently and then I just set it free. If it's on food or whatever, then I do whatever it is around the food. Then I just take just about consciousness. And I was so glad the other day when my kitten brought what I thought was a bird inside. I grabbed the bird, took it out, set it free, and then the other day I saw him like bringing a glove inside. I was like, what bird is that? Oh no, it's a gardener's glove. Okay, cool. It's not an animal.
The glove. Okay. So does anyone need a break? Just take a little comfort break and get your stuff ready. Exercise 10. You need to have that to hand because I'm going to pair you up. So the brilliant thing about Zoom is you can split into breakout rooms, and then I can pair you up, and you're going to do this process together. So just get everything ready. Get your printout ready, and or have it on your phone if you're going to reference it on your phone. It's page, what are we? Page 45, I think. Yeah, no, page 46. Pages 46 and 47 of the course manual. Okay, so get everything ready, and then we'll come back in a few minutes and we'll start. I'm just going to go take a little comfort break. Something to eat. Good idea. Let's just pause the recording.
Cold.
Okay.
You don't,
No, it's all good. No, I'm all right actually. It's my feet. That's why I'm with these slippers on. I've got some warm clothes in the car. But...
Do you want to grab? Want to grab some snacks?
Yeah. Or, okay.
Oh, dear.
Yes, there's notebooks if you need.
Thank you. I have a pen already.
Yeah, Johnny was like in his t-shirt and shorts. He's gonna get cold. But it's okay. Feel good? Use more water or anything?
Oh, good. Thank you. That's fine. It's awesome.
Okay, so
Sorry, Johnny, we don't have a blanket and a meditation thing, but I know from last time you were like between.
oh no, I'm not lying down.
Yeah.
I'm going to be ripping around. So,
Yeah. I just say if you get cold, let me know.
I won't get cold. It's fine. If anything, last time I took my shirt off, so
Yes.
I was summer, but I probably won't today. But it does generate quite a lot of heat.
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone with us? Let's just make sure everyone on Zoom is there. Everyone still there?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. Gloria, James?
All right, Jonna. I'm just getting a drink in the shop.
You just what?
Just popped into the shop to get a drink. I'll be
Okay.
back in the car in 2 minutes.
Okay, no problem. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to pair you up into couples, and you're going to do this exercise 10 because it's in pairs. Let me just share my screen and I'll show you. Where we're at. Just give you a few basic directions. So where are we? We're section 2. So it's exercise 10, page 46. And so how this works is, what happened there? Don't know where it went. It's an exercise to help you to make any kind of difficult decision in your life. If you've got something we've all got stuff we've got to decide on. It's to reflect on that, to help you work through that process. and just see it from a higher perspective, whatever that decision is. So you're going to pick something that is on your mind at the moment that you need to make a decision about. Could be work-related, family-related, relationships, always a good area. So maybe it's one of your key relationships. And you're either going to work with the relationship, the person. Hello.
That's the yoga mats.
You're either going to work with that relationship and say, okay, where does this need to go, and how can I see this person differently? Or you're going to work with a situation in your life. So, for instance, Karen, your situation might be like, well, what am I going to do with my business? Where am I going to go with that? That's an example. So you've got stay or go. There's usually there's an alternative. That's how life is. And you're going to work through this exercise using whatever that situation is that you pick. Try and make it something that's significant for you at the moment that you need to make a decision about. And it's about getting clarity and guidance on that. By going through this process, you see it in different ways, and that shows you a different perspective. Shows you a different perspective on that situation, and then you cycle back, and you come back to your kind of normal perspective, and you'll find that there's a shift. And it can have some quite dramatic effects. You can really get some insights through this exercise. Okay, so any questions on that? No? All right, so we're going to pair up. There's two of us, and there's, so that's perfect. So we've got because there's 8 of us, so I'm going couples. So Sue and I want to recommend Sue and John do it together, because this is actually a great exercise as a couple to do. Like if you do this regularly, this is really a great way to resolve conflict, to deal with issues. You do it in this format. I've used it in my own relationship with my wife. It's really helped. So the two of you do it together. You've got the printout there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just follow those instructions, and I'll kind of drop in every now and then, because I'm going to stick you into a breakout room, and you're going to start off. One of you is going to be the questioner, and the second one is going to be the person who's actually working through it. You start off at the ego's position, and you go, okay, so what are you feeling about this? And there's a series of questions you can ask. There's some guidance in the notes. You can ask those. Just try and be a bit intuitive about it, and ask questions that are kind of leading. Someone's going somewhere. Take a few minutes on each position. Say, okay, so what are you feeling about the situation as you see it in your ego? Then number 2, you move on to the Holy Spirit. The other alternative. So that's either the other alternative situation. So you could, for example, stay with the business, or go with, or leave the business. That the alternative is, okay, well, if I'm in my ego and I'm staying, this is the situation. If I'm leaving, this is the situation. How am I thinking and feeling about it? If you're doing it in a relationship, then how's the other person feeling about it? Take the other person's viewpoints. Okay, so what would they be thinking and feeling and seeing? And then number 3 is you take it to the Holy Spirit. And you say, okay, so just looking at the situation from this higher perspective, what is in the best interest of everyone? What's for the highest good of everyone? So relationship, try and look at it objectively and independently, see what's good for both people, what's there for them to learn. Again, there's a series of questions you can go through, which will give you a higher perspective on it. Then you cycle back into exercise the previous position, where you looked at, okay, the other person's position it was, if it's a relationship, or the other alternative decision. And just have a look at it again and spend a few minutes on that, going, okay, so what am I seeing now? It's really about the question is you're trying to get what the other person is thinking and feeling, and the questions are designed as leading questions to get them to express that. So you can use those questions in the notes as guidelines, but just be intuitive and kind of go with, you know, if someone says something that seems like they want to expand on it, maybe ask them a question. So how do you feel about that? Or what would happen then? You know, these kinds of just leading questions. Your job is to get them to open up and really work through a process in their own mind where they come to more clarity. And at the last position, they come back to their default ego position. And maybe that's completely changed. It's okay, so how do you feel about it now? And I go, well, actually, that previous position, the egoic position, doesn't really make sense anymore. I've seen it differently. And so shifts happen, and maybe that shifts because you've shifted mindset and belief, that changes the decision.
If it's I mean, position 2,
Mm-hmm.
the decision only really primarily involves yourself. When you say that other person, is that also just in this exercise?
No. So there's 2 scenarios you can use this for. The one is really it's just your own decision about something in your life. You've got to make and there's usually an alternative. There's this, I could do this, or I could do that. That's how it works. You know, there's a split.
Yeah.
So the first one would be, okay, well, what does your ego think? So maybe your ego's like, no, play it safe, stay where you are. You might lose what you have. Alternative would be, no, actually, you know, go, why not leave? Go start a new business, get a new job, whatever the alternative is, and explore that. You see? Whereas if you're doing it in a relationship, it's like, okay, well, I'm having issues in this relationship, so what would the other person be thinking and feeling? Position 2 is their position. Try and put yourself in their shoes. And literally between these stages, you want to break your state and just really try and get into it. Really get into the feeling of what that other person's position might be. So that you can try and like really, you know, resonate, tap into the energy field. Okay, so what might they be thinking and feeling and so on. So you can get into it and then try and understand, which then opens you up to the Holy Spirit, where it's like, okay, this is both people's position, or it's both alternatives, just looking at it from a higher perspective and seeing it differently. So it's an exercise in just shifting perception, which could be really helpful for the higher purpose. You're not sure about a higher purpose, you know, you could use it with this exercise or a relationship. It's up to you. So just pick something that's current in your mind and work with that. That's you think is going to be most helpful to get the Holy Spirit's guidance on. Okay. Any questions about that?
So I mean, we're going to take it a turn each way, right?
Yeah. So everyone's going to have a turn. You start off as a questioner. If you're starting as questioner.
That's position 2. Oh no, wait. That's the person asking these
Yes,
questions.
exactly. So there's a questioner, and then there's the person who's actually working through the exercise. You go through 5 positions. So try and spend just a few minutes on each one. So we want to keep it to sort of maximum an hour because we still need to do the holotropic. And I'll just kind of keep you on that, and then you switch, and I'll say, okay, now switch, and then you become if you were the questioner, you become the person who's doing the processing, and the partner switches and does the question.
So how long is the holotropic?
45 minutes plus.
Okay, so then we need to keep it to like 45 minutes.
So I have to be. It's a hard stop at 5:30. Okay. All right. So so try and let's try and do this reasonably quickly. Try and spend like 20 minutes each. Any questions?
Are we recording this on YouTube? Sure.
No, I'll stop the recording. It doesn't actually. You can't when you split it into these breakout rooms. You can't record. So no, it's not going to be recorded. Let me get out of the share because I need to stick you into rooms. Okay. So we recorded in pairs. No. So the answer is no. You're not being recorded in pairs because Zoom can't do multiple recordings.